Salvador, salve Brasil, salve mundo. Boa noite. Sejam bem-vindos ao Festival de Consciência Negra. Meu nome é Heather Simon e eu estou aqui em Trinidad e Tobago, no Caribe. Hoje temos no palco o senhor Dr. Zé Ricardo. Ele é dançarino, músico, compositor e natural de Salvador, da Bahia. Iniciou a sua carreira como dançarino e percussionista em 1985, no Serviço Social do Comércio SESC, e teve como mestre e formador
as a master and the master as a dance.
Teve como professores Tânia Bispo, Raimunda Sena e Rosângela Silvestre. A partir de 1987, passou a integrar a entidade como funcionária da função de instrutor de percussão. Atualmente, responde como diretor musical da entidade na área artística. Vindo assim a realizar as direções musicais de todos os espetáculos criados pela área artística realizados no Teatro de Arena do SESC, Pelourinho. Ele é responsável pela criação da oficina de ritmos, na qual estuda os mais variados ritmos percussivos. A partir de 1988, passou a ser integrante da Companhia Balé Folclórico da Bahia, onde exerceu a função de dançarino e atualmente responde pela direção artística da companhia e pelo ensino de danças religiosas como professor. Este grande mestre, gente, eu encontrei com ele pela primeira vez no ano passado, quando eu levei uma turma de estudantes de língua portuguesa como estrangeiros. Levamos essa turma de alunos de Trinidad e Tobago no Caribe para Pelourinho, onde a gente encontrou com o Zé Ricardo. E ele explicou tudo sobre o balé, ele explicou tudo sobre os instrumentos que se usam lá no balé folclórico, e também a gente teve a oportunidade de ver o balé folclórico ao vivo lá em Pelourinho, na Bahia. Foi um grande sucesso, foi ótimo, excelente, todo mundo ficou assim, pasmado, e tudo cheio de alegria. E agradecemos muito, 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 Zé Ricardo, pela sua presença aqui hoje. Como vai o senhor?
Estou bem, obrigado.
Muito tempo
Good, thanks.
que não encontramos. Sim. Mas daqui a pouco. Depois desse Covid eu vou aí.
Deus quiser.
Então,
If God wills.
Então, vamos agora com o Zé Ricardo, que vai dar para a gente uma aula de percussão lá da Bahia. Seja bem-vindo.
Sir Ricardo is going to give a percussion lesson.
Então, como ela já me apresentou, já leu meu currículo todo.
Since she already presented me, she's already given all my curriculum. I'm going to complete with my name, José Ricardo dos Santos, but my artistic name is Ricardo. And some people call me Pai Zé, Father Zé, as a nickname. I have a work that comes with Black culture, with the legend that is carried by Black culture. From what we have to face here in the diaspora, in the Black diaspora.
Pode sim, doutor. A gente tem o intérprete simultâneo para o senhor.
Ok. Então, ao longo
along this time, we've been studying all the aspects possible in terms of resisting the Black resistance of Black people, the Black men that have been forced into coming to the West. We've been mounting up the resistance that come here in Bahia. We have the biggest center of resistance in Candomblé. When the black African is taken from African and brought here in a brutal way, in to serve as a slave in slave work. He's not brought in to bring his intellect. Uh, and in this world of black diaspora, he needs to remake himself. He needs to transform himself. And here in Brazil, this was brought in by the worshiping the Orixas. And here we represent the black culture, the African culture, to the worshiping of Orixas, Candomblé, Jeje, Orixá. Here we call these names uh, nations of Candomblé. Here, these are the representations of black culture uh, in the African diaspora. Here, with there's in Africa, there's no Candomblé. Here, we have a worshiping of Orisha called the Candomblé here in the diaspora. The Candomblé is the one who resisted more. Uh, Here we have everything that we need to remember our African diaspora. We have the gods, we have the dances, we have the music, we have the culinary, and we have a community working every day to make a connection with the ancestor world. This music aspect is one of the most relevant that can communicate ancestrality as we need, and in terms of understanding who we are. Candomblé music is not only there as a way of worshiping, but for various segments. Here, for example, we have here Asha music, and Asha music. There's a lot of research from Asha music that comes from Orisha music, that comes from worship Orisha. Here, for example, we have Hejesha.
Posso cantar? Ô filala, eu, leleuá, ô filala, eu, leleuá, ô filala, eu, leleuá, ô filala, eu, leleuá, ô filala, eu, leleuá. É uma música para Oxalá, Deus.
Oxalá. The most supreme in Candomblé, the Orisha that wears white and is the father of all Orishas. Asha music uses this rhythm to create songs for carnival and manifestations in the street. For example, if I do this rhythm here.
Homem, menino, menina, mulher, toda essa gente irradia magia. Presente na água doce, presente na água salgada. Então, isso é uma composição moderna.
This is a composition, a modern composition for the diasporic world, where this music is used for leisure, but it's taken from the sacred world. This Ijesha rhythm is something that is very important because it's a rhythm for the goddess Oshun, the goddess of the water. uh, is a goddess from the river Ijexá. It's the same name that is given to the dance that this goddess does, that is called Ijexá. Some researchers say that Oshun uh, is the goddess of the salty waters, while Yamanja is the goddess of all waters. Oshun is also the goddess of fertility. So the fertility that comes from woman come from Oshun. So I'm going to show here the dance.
Oxum tem uma dança suave, sim, onde ela vai fazer
Soft dance, where she does these movements, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing.
Essa é a dança
This is the
chamada
dance called Ijexá,
Oxum se apresenta.
in which Oshu presents herself, dancing softly and showing a movement that relates to the waters, to the slow moving waters, the soft moving waters, peaceful waters.
Porém, existem muitos ritmos
But there's a lot of rhythms in candomblé.
Deus Ogum.
There's a rhythm from God Ogum. Ogum is from still, is the god of still, the god of agriculture. But because
Elementos da natureza.
before the birth of Ogum, uh, everyone just used nature to where to go about their lives. Uh,
Usavam plantas,
they would use plants,
seus artefatos.
they would use seeds to do their artifacts. But when Ogu was brought about, he brought steel with him, and he started forging steel. He started doing weapons for Orisha. He started using armor and web for Orishas. So he brings about revelations to all Orishas and becomes the god of agriculture. He produces uh, tools, uh, knives, and tools for agriculture that humanity start to use. Ogum Patakoriajas is a greeting for Ogum. It's and people believe that with the strength of Ogun, we have open paths because with the strength of Ogun, we can open every path. So I can play with Ogun like this.
Esse som é o som.
This sound is the sound of fury of Ogum in his battles. I'm going to show how the dance works. It's the dance with this sword and the shield is going to be opening the paths, and the words in African culture that will open a path to any.
Essa espada para dançar assim.
So the sword is used this way by Ogun in the dance.
Isso. Esses movimentos de
These
Ogum
movements of Ogun, they represent opening paths and also war. This is why I always have to be aware of where I'm throwing the sword and how to do that to win every war. We believe that Ogun is the Orisha of opening paths, because with Ogun we can go about every path of success. The name of the rhythm that I played to Ogun is Vasin. Some people also call it Ahum. It's a rhythm for Ogun. In this world of worshipping Orisha, we have a Orisha that everyone respects a lot. So in this pandemic time now, where everyone's going through this, many cults are done for Orisha, especially Omolu or Obaluaye, that is the god that is able to control every sickness, is the God that we ask for forgiveness, so that our body and our spirit does not suffer from the sickness that comes from the world. So in this moment, everyone worships Omulu, that in Africa is also called Shapana. Shapana is the name of Omulu in Africa, and is able to make the humanity stop suffering sickness.
Opanigé. É um ritmo que é sempre tocado.
It's a rhythm that is always played with ambience of mystery, ambience to calm everything down. Is Orisha that is old and has a lot of wisdom that needs to be adored with a lot of delicacy. Is the cult of Omolu is one that shows the destiny to life or the destiny to death, because we believe that life continues after we die. Omolu would dance like.
A simbologia do movimento de Omulu é
The
acompanhada.
symbols of the movements of Omolu is accompanied by the movements where he shows life, a different life, and a life. Life, death, and life. This Orisha is with us in this spiritual plane and in the other spiritual plane. That with our physical body or our spiritual body, it will be with us either way. Omolu talks, the dance of Omolu controls the physical body, the spiritual body, and this movement brings about that I'm bringing my power to stop all sickness. Uh, with Omolu, we also have Orisha that is very important that is called Oshosi. Oshosi is a hunter. He hunts with a bow and arrow in this symbol. Doing this, he has this song.
Ode komorode, ode komorode, ode arere, ode komorode mima, ode komorode, odi, ode komorode. Oxóssi é o deus do Queto.
Oshosi is the god from Keto. Is the it's called the god of Keto and also called Alaketo, the god of hunting, the god that brings in uh, sustenance. He is able to bring on sustenance uh, to everyone. He's the one who saved all African people from famine, from a bird, from a black bird. And with only one arrow, it was the only one was able to um, precisely catch that bird with his arrow with only one arrow. And after doing that, he was called the king of Keto. The dance of Oshosi is a dance where he is simulating riding on a horse where he's hunting with a bow and arrow.
E, tic, 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 tic. Ode komorode, ode komorode, ode re, ode komorode mimao, ode komorode hoje. Assim Oxóssi faz a sua dança.
This is the dance of Oshosi. This is a rhythm called Agarejo Oshosi. Another Orisha that is very important is Shango. Shango is the god of justice, the god of fire. Shango is the god who's most respected by Yoruba, who's most respected by the African continent. The history of Shango says that Shango has many crowns, and he was king in many places. Wherever Shango went, he organized societies. He organized the people by his laws. So Shango is the god who writes the organization of African people. He writes the organization of African society. He did this and he was proclaimed as king, but he did not stay. He would always travel to a different place to do the same thing, to make the laws, to make sure people will live in organized societies. As a rhythm that is of firm stepping that is played to Shango.
Shango é tabiara, aê, Shango é tabiara, aê, Shango é tabiara, aê, Shango é tabiara, aê, parai que parai que parai, e país, parai que parai. Esse ritmo
This
Aluja
rhythm is called Aluja. It's a rhythm that when Shango steps on the floor, all the globe, all the world shake because of this firm stepping of Shango. Because in Shango dances in this imperial form, he shows the continents, and in this continent, the the sound comes of thunder, because Shango is the god of thunder, the god of fire. And so it would dance like it would hold two axes of justice.
Seria.
So this is Aluja, the dance of Shango.
Alguém fale comigo, por favor.
Can someone talk to me, please?
Eu quero saber se estamos indo bem, está tudo bem.
Is everything going all right?
Ótimo.
Everything.
Ótimo. A gente tá seguindo. Eu gostaria de fazer uma puder.
Sim.
É o seguinte, o senhor mostrou algumas das danças, né, dos orixás. A minha pergunta, em primeiro lugar, é a ordem que o senhor escolheu, de primeiro mostrar Oxalá, depois Oxum, depois Ogum, depois Abaluaê e todos os outros. A pergunta é a ordem. É uma ordem específica? Por que escolheu essa ordem para mostrar as danças?
Normalmente.
Normally, I said Oxalá first because I talked about Ijexá first. But the order is first worshiping all the male Orishas. And we have to start first with Eshu. Eshu is the communication Orisha. He's the one who is the link between this plane and the spiritual plane, the other plane. So I jumped some Orishas because we do not have enough time to talk about all Orishas. But the sequence works like this: all male Orishas, then all female Orishas, and lastly Oshala. But why lastly Oshala? Because in Yoruba understanding, it doesn't finish. Oshala is the end, the middle, and the beginning. So when we lastly talk about Oshala, this means that we're going back to the beginning. So we start with all male, and then Orishas, then all female Orishas. And our understanding is that with Oshala, everything is starting once again, not finishing.
Deu sim.
As danças do candomblé funcionam em sentido anti-horário, porque significa que sempre vai estar voltando.
It always also works in anti-clockwise because it doesn't finish. It's a cycle. We'll reread everything.
Então, outra pergunta.
So another question, if you could allow me.
Vai primeiro com as danças masculinos e depois
You said that we start first with the male dancers, then the female dancers. But my understanding is that the female power in candomblé is stronger. But why is it that the male dancers start first before the female dancers start? There's understanding here that candomblé comes from a matriarchal place, but the power, the matriarchal power of women, is linked to men, of, of their own existence and maintenance that men can give to this path. So there's a division here. Some traditional houses, men cannot have the main throne. No man can have the main throne. But in some other houses, in some segments, the men can have the main throne. And in some houses, there is a belief that we must always give power to men after the previous one dies, and the same thing with women. And we understand that when men came here and they, as in position of slavery, they had to readapt, they had to reinvent themselves. And through resistance, uh, we had these moments where men had to take charge, where women had to take charge. And so I will not be able to tell you for certain when this happened. So for me, it's mostly a question of tradition. I understood. Understand. Another question I have a lot of questions. Uh, I like questions. I always thought that dances were very spontaneous, but from what I see, that the dances are learned. We There's specific steps that we. Um, is there a possibility of being more spontaneous, or all steps have to be followed in the way they are taught? All the dancers are reinterpreting of Orixas history. So there is um, internet. There is a way that everyone dances, but everyone has their essence. So, for example, Ogun says Ogumpa. So we have to do those movements. If you're going to dance to a shoe,
Para levar Exu, vai ter que contar a história de Exu novamente e vai ter que ser dançado a mesma dança.
you have to tell the history of his shoe. You can't make up a new dance of his shoe. You have to dance the dance of his shoe in the way the history happened, of his shoe happened. I believe in Cuba there is more freedom in the way it's danced, but here we have to do a reading of the history of the Orisha in our dancing. Another question. The symbol of dancing, the symbology of dancing, is it to worship the Orishas? Is it to worship the Orishas? Or is it the dance of the Orishas, or is it to worship the Orishas? There's two moments. When we're worshiping the Orishas in the circle, it's called Shire. Every time we talk about Orisha, we're going to make a symbol that represents the Orisha. When the person is in a trance state, then this person is going to make the gesture once again with the artifacts that they bring. There's going to be a sword. We're going to. So I'm here making with my hand right now, but when the person is in trance, when Oshosi comes, he will use the tool of Oshosi. So we do the mimics in this worshipping. And Orisha does the dancing with his own tools. It was very clear. So you talked about the nations, IgG, Keto, and other nations. My question is, every nation has their own Orisha, or is there a mixture of Orishas inside one nation? In Africa, the worshipping of Orisha is local, where one village or a region worships Oshosi, or worships Ogun, or worships Oya, Yansan. And all these families in that region worships Yansan. So through the phenomenon of the slave ships came with many different families. The slave ships would travel across the coast of Africa, purchasing slaves from different places, and they would have Go people in the same slave ship. Some would go to England, some would go to United States, some would go to Brazil, some would go to the islands of close to Cuba. And at this moment, we needed more strength in order to worship our own God. So there's houses that can have all Orishas, and we worship. But one is going to prevail. So if we are a Jeje house, so our traditions at Jeje is going to uh, come out more. So for Keto, for example, we are going to worship Orishas. So if we're Bantu, we're going to worship Inkisi.
Entendi. Mas eu como pessoa que não, se por exemplo, eu não
That as a person, I did not grow up inside Candomblé, but I make up a decision one day that I want to worship the gods, my ancestor gods. How do I know that if I need to should worship Oshosi or Shango? How do I make that decision? So there is an oracle. There's an oracle that will bring about that answer. When you know those rituals, you are going to ask a question to the oracle, and the game of the oracle is going to tell you which Orisha, or this Vodun, or this Nkisi, and you're going to feel the energy. If you don't feel the energy, then that means that it's not the god of your worship. It's it- it's something that you should seek. You can't just come from Trinidad and Tobago and say that you're going to worship one Orisha. The energy is going to talk to you. I have friends also that have the necklaces. I'm not sure if necklace is the correct word. It's called contas. Yes.
Então, o senhor tem dois.
You have two. That means that you have two saints that are special to you. You have two orishas that are special to you. You worship two orishas. The orishas worship the families. So we are initiated here in Brazil. For example, if you come here and you are of Oshun, when you start your process of initiation, you will receive one necklace for Oshun, and you'll receive one from me because I'm from Ogun, and you'll receive one for Nana because my mother is from Nana, and you'll receive a necklace for Oshala because Oshala is the father of all Orishas. So your families will be built in that way, starting through me. But you have your own Eleda, that are three Orishas at the minimum. The Ori Orisha, Orisha, Orisha Dijunto, that one that comes together, and the third Orisha. We have three Orishas in our heads. One in the front, one in the middle, one at the back. But we can't worship Orisha without worshipping Eshu, because Eshu is the communication, is the link between our world and Orisha world. And we can't worship our Orishas without worshipping Oshala, because Oshala is in every Orisha. and we can worship Orisha without worshiping Oshu, Oshala, and the ancestors of your family. No one has one Orisha or two Orisha. Everyone has many. For now, I'll pause. I don't know if you have much more information to give us. I'm going to show you some more rhythms. I haven't talked about feminine orishas. I started talking about Oshun, but now I'm going to talk about Oya. Oya is the goddess of tempest, of wind and tempest. The rhythm of Oya is Ilu.
Oiá tem uma dança forte, como a dança de Xangô. Oiá é uma das esposas de Xangô, a qual tem a mesma imponência e força de Xangô. Sim? Então, Oiá também é deusa do fogo. Ela tem o mesmo poder com fogo que foi dado a Xangô.
Same as power of fire that Shango has. They share that same power of fire. So Oya will dance with a dance that reminds us of wind.
When
Oya dances, this dance, moving her hands, this means the communication with the spiritual world. When she moves her hands, when her arms, this is how she controls the spirits that are called the guns. Is one of the only women that is able to go into the ballet world. The ballet world is the reign of the dead. The people who are no longer incarnated go to that reign of ballet. And the only who are able to go there is Yansan and Yogu. She can go and come back, and this is why her dance has a strong link with winds. Oya is the first wife of Shango. He has three wives: Oya, Oshun, and Oba. Another woman that is very important in Candomblé is Yamanja. Yamanja is the goddess of the sea. But in other writings, says that Yamanja is the goddess of water of the world in general. So Yamanja is the goddess of all heads. So being a human being, when we're born around water. When we come out with water from our mother's womb. And these waters are the waters that Yamanja gives us so that we are born to this world. So when woman's born, he comes with his head first. Iemanjá gets her hands and brings us into this world using our water. So everyone has a lot of venerance to Iemanjá. Nana is the oldest Orisha, the goddess of water and the earth, and Iemanjá of the waters. The dance of Iemanjá is it's a dance that is soft but also strong. There's one that tells that when people were enslaved and brought into the Americas, they were brought in through, through the waters of Iemanjá. And she would go in and out of the waters, always checking where her son and their children are. Uh, there's an impression that we have here, and there was a discussion I was having some time back, and we have an impression that Iemanjá is the most respected Orisha there. My question is it because Iemanjá was is this because Iemanjá was the one who made sure that her children arrived here safely? Because Iemanjá is the one who responsible, who has power over waters. So why in Bahia specifically is that Iemanjá has all this respect, all this venerance? So firstly, because we are in a biological, in the very biological sense, we are born through the waters. So after we're brought into this world through the waters of Iemanjá, so in the vision of Iemanjá, um, Iemanjá is always the children of her. So when he's a child, when he's a little small child, when he's a teenager, when he's old, Iemanjá is always sees people as their child. And mother is always like this. And Iemanjá is this way. So we have two situations here. Oshun is the goddess of fertility that takes care of the human inside the womb, but the one who brings about the Orisha that brings us into the world is Iemanjá. So Iemanjá will dance like.
Bambá, biririrá, dedê, cantar. Iemanjá mora por laiô, Iemanjá mora por laiô, Iemanjá mora por laiô, Iemanjá mora por laiô, Iemanjá mora por... A interpretação é que Iemanjá, nessa dança, estaria nadando.
Iemanjá, in this dance, she would be swimming. So changing into a dance form, this shows that she's swimming. She will dive in, and she'll come out in a different continent. I'll dive in again and come out into a different continent to see where children are. The rhythm of Iemanjá is soft.
Iemanjá mora pula yo. 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 Iemanjá. Odoia. Saudação para Iemanjá. Então, para dar tempo aí das perguntas.
So, I'll talk now about Nana, that is the goddess, who is the oldest god of water. But the goddess of water is through rain and earth. It was through water and rain that Nana molded the human being. So her and Nana and Oshala got the power to mold the human being. Nana is known as the lady of death in the sense that Nana is there when we're alive and when we pass. So when we pass, Nana will be with us. Nana is the oldest of Orishas, the one that comes first when it comes to the creation of the world in Yoruba notion. Nana, Iroko, that is the great tree, Oshala, Osain, that is the green, the trees, and they come together and they start to populate the world that was recently created. Nana had the responsibility to create, to mold the human beings.
E Nanã tem uma dança muito tranquila com uma idosa.
There is a soft dance, so she will dance like a old woman would dance.
Sim? Eu acho que agora nós temos que ir para as perguntas de todos, não é?
So I think now we should go to the questions.
É mesmo. Eu não tenho nenhuma pergunta ainda, mas eu estou abrindo.
I don't have any questions now, but I'm opening the questions to everyone that is around the world right now that would like to ask a question. We have an opportunity to ask a question here to our master of Ricardo that knows so much about Orixas.
Mais ou menos.
So,
Se eu puder responder, sim.
Eu gostaria de saber quando que é que o senhor vem para aqui para o Caribe. A gente está precisando do senhor.
I would like to know when you plan to come here to the Caribbeans.
Em carne e sangue, né?
Because I would like you to come here personally to give a workshop. As soon as this pandemic goes away and you give an invite, I'll be there. You don't need an invite. So just as soon as the pandemic comes, you can come. All right, we agree. So these dances that you're showing that are central in the ritual of Candomblé, they're really important, right? So it's very important to know uh, how to dance. This has to be taken seriously when we
E as pessoas
participate
mais
in Candomblé
velhas, elas
worship.
preservam a dança
Yes,
com
and
algumas
the
características
older
como
people, they
disciplina
preserve
para
this.
que não
They
haja
preserve the way of dancing, the way of
acidentalidades
singing,
da
so that we don't lose the
Mas
identity inside
pelo
the
mundo
worshiping
inteiro a gente está
Candomblé.
vendo que tem um
But all around the world,
avanço nas
we are
pessoas que
seeing the
estão
reduction,
recebendo a religião,
uh,
qualquer
the
religião,
amount of
né?
people that
Ou na
are
igreja,
are
catolicismo, no
subscribing
islã,
to
todas as
faith
outras
in
religiões.
general, no
No candomblé no
Christianity, in
Brasil, houve essa
Islam.
redução ou
Is
houve
there a
o mesmo
reduction also in
movimento
Candomblé,
de pessoas
uh,
fiéis?
like in
eu
other
creio que existe um aumento de pessoas
religions?
adeptas ao candomblé.
I think
Você percebe que
actually
agora
there is an
as pessoas
increase of
expressam mais
Candomblé,
e não mais
especially
só
now because
né?
people are
Então,
declaring
as
themselves
pessoas
worshippers
dizendo
of
eu sou
Candomblé,
orixá, eu sou do
because
candomblé.
now people don't
Porém,
have to hide
existe também um
that
crescimento
they
muito
are from
grande
Candomblé.
dessas pessoas.
But
Certo?
proportionally,
Isso
there's
reflete
also an
o
increase
fanatismo evangélico
of
que
attacks
Brasília
to the
tem
Candomblé worship.
violentos
There's violent
seguidores do
attacks
candomblé.
happening
Agressão
to
física,
worshippers of
agressão a
Candomblé,
templos,
Mesmo.
physical
invasões
violence,
recentes. E
invasions
agora, por último,
of
ainda temos uma
temples,
nova modalidade que é
and
o
more
tráfico de
recently
droga,
is
que
the
são
drug
evangélicos.
traffickers that are evangelic.
Mesmo. Mas
É,
aí isso
expulsando pessoas,
But that's
dizendo
num
in
país como o Brasil,
a country
onde
like
a
Brazil
maioria das
where
pessoas
most people
são negros,
are
sabe? São
black.
de pele, sabe? Assim,
somos,
escuro.
Most
Como que é
é,
que existe esse
somos
preconceito ainda no Brasil?
So how
ainda
come there
um
still
preconceito
is
de igreja que não reconhecem
discrimination,
o
how
seu valor.
prejudice
Você,
against
infelizmente, se você
black
não tem uma
culture?
religião para te dizer
The
o seu
prejudice
valor,
comes
se você não tem
about
uma instrução para ter o seu valor conhecido, sua autoestima não vai subir e você não vai representar um enfrentamento para as potências de exploração.
the
Então,
prejudice comes
mesmo
about
que não haja um
because
negro não
you
nós na igreja
has a black
estamos
person that
tentando construir
worships
para ter um salário
does not have a
melhor,
purpose
para ter
in their
educação,
society.
para ter
They
melhor
build
moradia,
us.
para ter
Uh,
todas as possibilidades que não temos ainda ideal.
so we
Por
fight for
exemplo,
the possibility
Salvador
to have
nunca teve um prefeito
dignity,
negro.
to
Por
have our
exemplo, uma
own
negra
house, our
favelada.
own place in
Pois
life.
é.
Here in Salvador, we've
Na
never
disputa
had a
eleitoral para
mayor.
os negros,
Here, for the first time, we've had a
quando
mayor.
nós estamos
People
discutindo
running
aqui, os negros estão se
for
cotando para ser líderes
for the role of
de
a mayor.
governo aqui na Bahia. Mas
For the
isso
first time,
ainda não se
we are close
É
to
difícil.
having
E
a
aí
black
deixa eu te
mayor in
perguntar,
Salvador.
Glauco. O oráculo informa o orixá a ser cultuado,
So the
mas o
oracle
orixá pode escolher a pessoa antes da consulta ao oráculo?
oracle says
escolhe a pessoa quando ela nasce.
the orisha that is to be worshipped,
Só quando a
but
pessoa desconhece.
can the orisha choose uh,
E na hora que
the
o orixá
person who's going to
falando, ele
worship
vai
him?
falar
Yes,
quem é ele,
yes.
quem é
The oracle says
pessoa.
who the orisha
Certo.
chose that person,
Interessante.
who that person should
Mas,
worship.
olha, o Zé Ricardo, o nosso tempo já ultrapassou,
So
sabe?
Ricardo, our time has gone past, but
Muito interessante.
this was
Mas
very interesting.
eu fiquei
Uh,
muito
I
feliz da vida,
I'm very
sabe, por ter
happy
tido a oportunidade de conversar com o senhor. Com
to have the
certeza.
opportunity to
E
talk to
assim,
you.
este festival que a gente
And
está
most
tendo
certainly, the festival that is
sobre
happening here
essa consciência
about
negra não vai
black
parar
consciousness
aqui,
is not going
sabe?
to
A
stop
gente
here.
vai oferecer mesmo
We are going to
convidados
offer more
para vir
opportunities
conversar
for
com a
you
gente
to
virtualmente ou
come here and talk to
fisicamente. A gente
us,
vai pegar
whether
esse
virtually
setor.
or
Foi uma
physically.
experiência
We want
muito positiva para mim
to
e
have this
tenho
experience,
certeza para
this
todo mundo
positive
que está
experience that was certainly a
escutando a
positive
gente.
experience for
Bem,
you
muito,
and
muito, muito
for
obrigado
us and for
mesmo.
everyone that
Que
was
Deus
here.
abençoe o senhor em
Thank you
todos
so
os seus
much.
passos na vida.
God bless and God bless all steps you take in your life.
Eu
Stay with
obrigado por
God.
ter
Thank
me
you
deixado
so
participar
much.
nesse trabalho.
for paying attention to my work. This is a work that is of a lot of research, of a lot of practice in our worship. We work with dancing. We work with um, the, we work with the marginalized areas of society, and this is a very relevant, it's a really relevant work that you do. It's a necessary work that you do, and I see that this year of 2020, this is a year that Black people as a race, we are taking our place here. We're taking the place that was taken from us. We are starting to get back on track, and it's about time. I think it's about time that and through your work and through the work of so many other people like you, we're going to be able to get back on our path. um, I'm available anytime that you need me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Boa noite.
Good
Igualmente.
night.
Tchauzinho.
Likewise. Bye bye.
And we would like to